Well, last night was not, anyway. Whenever you're ready.
It's just preparing the live stream now.
It's wet out here.
All right, you're live.
Okay, let's call to order the special meeting for October 20th. Before we do the roll call, the city attorney has an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Assembly Bill 361 suspends certain provisions of the Brown Act, allowing public meetings like this one to be held by teleconference to help prevent the spread of COVID-19. I'll ask the mayor to recognize me after roll call to confirm certain matters to the record.
Conduct the roll, please.
Councilmember Armstrong?
Here.
Councilmember Burrows?
Here.
Councilmember Zafar?
Here.
Vice Mayor Perkins?
Here.
Mayor Hudson?
Here, recognize the city attorney. We have all present.
Thank you. And based on the responses to the roll call, the record should reflect that all council members can hear the proceedings clearly. And if there are no objections, the record will further reflect that each council member believes, based on voice or facial recognition, that the persons representing themselves to be council members are in fact council members. And seeing thumbs up and no objection, I will turn the meeting back over to you with a reminder that all votes must be taken by roll call.
Okay, new business, item 2.1, a public hearing. An introduction of an ordinance next in line adopting an amendment to the North Camino Ramon specific plan, development standards and zoning regulations, and to consider addendum to the North Camino Ramon specific plan environmental impact report for SBA 21-800-1 and initial study 21-250-1. We will open, I believe that's my next in line here. We will not open. We will ask for the staff report from Cindy Yee.
Great. Thank you and good evening, council members, members of the public. I am here this evening to introduce an ordinance for the North Camino Ramon specific plan amendment. I will have a presentation to share as I bring that up. The applicant will also have a presentation as well. So I just wanted to make sure that they were able to get into the room. Sorry, just one second. Trying to toggle between presentations here. All right, are you able to see that?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so I'll go ahead and get started. I just have a quick introduction. As you've mentioned, tonight we're holding a public hearing. It's the second public hearing on the North Camino Ramon specific plan amendment in accordance with Measure G. We're going to be introducing the ordinance and requesting waiving the reading and read by title only. Receive public testimony and then continue the meeting to October 26, where additional public hearing can be held on this amendment. Hoping to get feedback tonight and then set the adoption date for October 26 for the ordinance. And just as a reminder, the project location, the City Village project is at the corners of Norris Canyon Road, Camino Ramon, and Executive Parkway. There are several applications associated with this project. There's a specific plan amendment to the North Camino Ramon specific plan, a change to the land use designation from Bishop Ranch mixed use to a mixed density residential, an update to the inclusionary housing requirements to align with the inclusionary housing ordinance, associated graphics and text amendments to align with the proposed project, as well as development applications for a major subdivision, a development plan, architecture review, tree removal application, and environmental review. And that's associated with the 31-acre residential development to replace the existing office. So the project is being processed in two project processing tracks. The first tract is the specific plan amendment and the associated CEQA analysis for that specific plan amendment. It requires a recommendation from the Planning Commission and then a final determination by the City Council. The Planning Commission has already taken action on this particular specific plan amendment and has recommended approval to the City Council through a Planning Commission resolution that was adopted in October. Then there's a second track for the review of the development applications to entitle the project, and that will be reviewed and approved through the Planning Commission. And just as a reminder, with any specific plan amendments, it does require 3 public hearings before the Planning Commission and City Council. It does require a 4/5 vote of the City Council after a recommendation in favor of the amendment is made on a 4/5 vote by the Planning Commission. There's also a CEQA requirement for review of the potential impacts of the project. There was previously an environmental impact report that was prepared in 2012, and an addendum has been completed to analyze this project's environmental impacts, and that's attached to your staff report this evening. So I know the council is familiar with the extensive project review that's taken place, but just as a reminder, we've had a few study sessions with the City Council and then the Planning Commission, and then a number of review bodies that are typical of the development review process, including our Housing Advisory Committee, our Parks and Community Services Commission, the Architecture Review Board, and then the public hearings beginning in July. That was the last time this council saw the North Camino Ramon specific plan amendments, and then we're continuing the review this evening as the second required hearing. The Planning Commission, as I mentioned, has already held their mandatory 3 public hearings and actually had a 4th and 5th meeting to consider the North Camino Ramon specific plan amendments. And then that was recommended on October 5th to the City Council. So I'm just going to have a few slides related to the specific plan amendment. As you can see on these bullets, a summary of the proposed changes to the specific plan, including the change to the land use designation and replacing that with that mixed density residential, the MDR zone. It'll go to a 14 to 40 dwelling units per acre density range, along with changes that are necessary for internal consistency purposes, as well as an update to the inclusionary policy. And then just to reiterate, there's a separate development application that would ultimately then be approved based on the specific plan changes that are made to this block. To orient you to the specific plan and its relationship to where the City Village project is associated, it's within the what is referred to as Block G in the North Camino Ramon specific plan. It's on the right-hand side of the block, or the east side of Block G. There still allows for future development of Block G as envisioned in the North Camino Ramon specific plan. And then just a summary of the CEQA analysis that has been conducted. There was an addendum prepared, which ultimately concluded that there are no substantial changes proposed to the project or under the circumstances in which the project would be undertaken that would require major revisions to the original EIR. And the applicant has agreed to all the mitigation measures, and so the addendum is considered appropriate and would meet the requirements for CEQA compliance for this project. There's also been a response to comments memorandum that was prepared based on the comments that were received at the previous Planning Commission meetings. A response to all of the comments has been addressed in that memorandum. So the attachments to your staff report this evening has within the ordinance an Exhibit 1 and Exhibit 2. Exhibit 1 details the proposed text changes to the North Camino Ramon specific plan. There were 23 changes that were proposed by the applicant. You can see that in the first column of the matrix. In that second column, there's an explanation of the staff's analysis of the general plan consistency. And then in that third column, changes that were recommended by the Planning Commission, as well as staff to the proposed changes that were proposed by the applicant. There are some additional errata edits that the Planning Commission and staff has requested. There's more detail in the staff report, but there's changes to number 1, 8, 9, 11, 19, 20, and 21A. And then there's also an additional edit number 24 to that list that would recognize the establishment of the walking district. Exhibit 2 is are the diagrams of the proposed changes to the figures in the North Camino Ramon plan. So just to recap, tonight's goal is to continue to receive public testimony and then feedback from the council on the proposed amendments and the addendum, and then continue the hearing to October 26 and set adoption of that ordinance for that same meeting. So with that, I'm done with my presentation. I know the applicant also has a presentation that they'd like to share. I can certainly take questions now or wait until the applicant has completed their report.
I haven't seen anybody raise their hands for questioning you now, so let's go right to the applicant.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Hudson and council members. I'm Denise Cunningham of Summerhill Homes, and I'd like to thank you for your time this evening. And we also have Robert Freed, Summerhill CEO, and Kevin Ebrahimi, the Senior Vice President of Development. And Jerry Engen with Sunset Development is also here tonight. And before I begin the presentation, Jerry would like to say a few words. And Cindy, I just wanted to make sure you'll pull up our slideshow. Great, thank you.
Great.
You got the floor.
All right. Thank you, Denise. Good evening, Mayor Hudson and members of the City Council. For the record, my name is Jerry Engen, Senior Vice President of Development for Sunset Development Company. And so before Denise shares her presentation, I wanted to discuss the very collaborative and iterative process that has resulted in this high quality plan. Subsequent to the concept review, this project has been presented to all of the required decision-making bodies within the city. There have been 13 public hearings, which Cindy touched on earlier, including 8 meetings in front of the Planning Commission. In all, 20 decision makers, plus the staff, have shared numerous thoughts, concerns, and opinions with the goal of designing a development that will make us all proud. And Sunset believes that Summerhill has done a terrific job in making numerous revisions to try to build consensus and accommodate all those varying views. It's also important to note that the project was very well received and unanimously approved by the Architectural Review Board, the Housing Advisory Committee, and the Parks Commission. Related to the specific plan amendment before you tonight, I wanted to put this amendment into context. The specific plan is a vision document that was created almost 10 years ago. The market and the world have changed dramatically since then. While there were 24 proposed language changes, most of these are all very minor in nature and were needed to provide internal consistency for the plan and allow the project to conform. However, this project blends perfectly with the existing specific plan and does not hinder or prevent the balance of the plan from being materialized. So by approving the specific plan amendment, that will allow this project to move forward and provide a mix of for sale family housing choices, complementing the recently approved 4,500 unit City Walk master plan while augmenting the existing specific plan. Summerhill is a high quality developer and knows what it takes to make great livable neighborhoods that will meet the demand of the market. We believe Summerhill has balanced their expertise with the desires of the decision makers and to make the best project possible. This is a project that Sunset and the city can be proud of to have in Bishop Branch in the city of San Ramon. Thanks, and I'm here to answer any questions.
Okay, do we have any, no one else wants to speak? Denise? Kevin?
Yeah, we do have a presentation I'd like to give now, if that's okay.
Okay, do you rather give it now? Or as soon as we open the public hearing, I can do you first too, if you want, assuming I get 5 votes or 3 or 2 or whatever we're gonna need here. It's up to you.
It's certainly.
Let's do this because nobody on our panel is asking for any questions. I'll ask one more time. Do I have any questions of staff or the report so far? Sridhar. Then Mark.
I have one question regarding item 7, revise figure 4.2 to redesignate Bishop Ranch 6 as MDR mixed density residential and remove the reference to BRMU Bishop Ranch mixed use on packet page 19. Just my question is regarding, is this redesignate zone to mixed density residential on, is there going to be any impact on our other existing retail properties? So what I mean is it going to be act as a precursor for any other retail property owners to appeal for redesignate their current zone to mixed density residential zone?
Sure, I can answer that. The mixed density residential zone is specific to this 31-acre site. And so the changes proposed for the land use is strictly to related to this particular parcel. So there are no other land use designation changes within the rest of the specific plan area.
Thank you, Cindy.
Okay, Mark.
Well, my first question anyway, is really related to that. And maybe Cindy, you can answer it as well, but will this new mixed density residential be a potential new district or zone designation for the general plan update to allow for us to maybe accommodate a greater density going forward into the future to meet our housing allocation?
We would certainly, I would say as part of the general plan update, we are going to be reevaluating all of our land use designations and the current density ranges of each of those residential sites. So there is a potential that we may see other sites in the city that could have changes to the density range or the title and designation of those parcels. But we're still fairly early on in the review process right now of the general plan. But there is a wholesale review of all of our land uses is going to be part of the general plan update.
Yeah. So following on, this whole specific plan amendment is really about allowing this project at BR6 to go forward. So assuming the addition of 404 units for the time being, under the old North Camino Road specific plan, there's some language in there about a higher density being planned. It's going to result in smaller dwelling units, larger proportion of singles and families without school-age children, and it's kind of the conclusion of that was, so it's not going to be sufficient to require additional schools. So that was prior to the whole BR6 project. Has there been any consideration as to whether or not this additional density, this additional project of 404 units might impact the schools?
So the review of schools is done in a couple of different areas. It's done as part of the development review application, where the city does send referrals to various agencies, including the school district, to get information on what the potential impact of a development project would have on the school system. So we would receive comments on through the development review application. But then we also do an analysis as part of the CEQA review and potential impacts to as a result of the land use change. And so there's two different places where we're reviewing the potential impacts, one from an environmental impact perspective, and then one from a development application perspective. And then that CEQA analysis is done both for the change to the density and the change to the proposed project. And all of that analysis has been completed for both the specific plan change as well as the development application. Based on the comments received from the school district, they have capacity in the schools. There is going to be a fee associated with this project that would be paid to the school district to offset those impacts. So those will be built into the conditions of approval for this project.
Okay, great. Thank you. And then finally, in chapter 3, talking about vision, and chapter 4 regarding land use, there's reference to policy vision 3.3, and there's a statement in there that residential development is limited to 1,124 units in the specific plan area. And will this need to be adjusted to for Block G when it's amended, when this amendment takes place with this project, to add the additional 404, to be able to accommodate that, or does it stand as is?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the residential unit cap that is found in that policy 3.3 in that chapter, that unit maximum is set for the entire specific plan as a whole. So it does not specify maximum unit counts on any one particular block or one particular area. And so this particular project that would be proposing 404 units would still be below the maximum 11,024 units that are expected within the plan area.
Well, yeah, 1,124, but previously I think it was just the area over by Park Central and a couple of those areas over there that were potentially zoned as residential. Now you're going to have a whole new area, 31 acres of new residential use that it just would seem to me that number might need to be reviewed.
Sure. Well, let me clarify that. And because the current zoning designation for this parcel and the North Camino Ramon specific plan actually has a Bishop Ranch mixed use zone for this parcel. So it actually did envision residential to be on this property. And there were expected units that were associated with this block and multifamily actually throughout the specific plan area.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Cindy.
Okay, Vice Mayor Ferguson, Council Member Zafar.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention the fact that the school district is actually experiencing a drop in enrollment. And so going forward, I mean, this project itself is probably a few years out before the first students start showing up, but they're already dealing with a drop in budget as it relates to a drop in enrollment. So increasing housing is not a problem that the school district anticipates having trouble dealing with.
Yeah, I don't disagree, but I think that's a cyclical.
Oh, it is. Oh, it is. Yeah.
Thing as well. Yeah.
Okay.
The current cycle is dropping.
Anything else? Okay, you good? Council Member Zafar.
So Cindy, when is the traffic study done as part of the process? That comes later on?
The traffic study has already been completed for both the specific plan changes as well as the project entitlement and the proposed 404 units. So all of that is done as part of the addendum review and the CEQA analysis that has to be completed. So There is in your appendix to the addendum, that actual traffic study that's attached to the CEQA document. And that analysis is it has been presented both to the Planning Commission as part of their entitlement review, as well as attached to analyze the changes with the specific plan.
Okay, so I obviously haven't gotten that far. I'll read through it, and thank you.
Sure.
Okay. Seeing no other hands, I will move to open the public hearing to introduce the ordinance next in line adopting amendment to the North Camino Ramon specific plan, development standards and zoning regulations, and to consider addendums to the North Camino Ramon specific plan environmental impact report, SPA 21800-1, initial study 21250-1, and waive the reading.
I'll
Do I have a
second.
second? I have a second Perkins. Motion Hudson, second Perkins. Any further discussion on the motion before we take roll call and open it up to the public? Okay, I don't see any hands from us. I know I got some public lining up. Can I have a roll call vote to open the public hearing?
Through the mayor, the applicant does have a presentation tonight.
Okay, yeah, I was going to, as soon as we open the public hearing, give them another presentation if they want to do it. Well, we'll do it before we get it to the public that wants to speak. It'll give more than one person a chance to raise their hand. Is that okay? Seeing nobody against it, let's do the roll call. Let's get it open first so that we're talking about something that is actually on the table. I don't see anyone in council wishing a question. Do we have a roll call, Madam Clerk?
Councilmember
I have
Armstrong?
to hear. Sorry, I just had a quick question. Do we need to see the presentation by the applicant before we vote, or?
Just to, all we're doing is opening up the public hearing.
Okay,
It's an introduction. Go ahead.
Councilmember Armstrong?
Yes.
Councilmember Veros?
Yes.
Councilmember Zafar?
yes.
Vice Mayor Perkins?
You're muted, Scott.
Yes.
Thank you. And Mayor Hudson?
Yes, did you say here? Sabina, did you say here? Okay, it has been a long day. All right, we've opened the public hearing. We have still one speaker that wants to speak, but I understand you want to do a presentation first. So who's going to lead this off? Denise, have you got the ball, or are you introducing Cindy?
I'll start the presentation.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you.
Maybe we'll get more people afterwards.
I appreciate it. Cindy, could you go to the next slide, please? Again, I think Cindy and Jerry both touched on this. There have been over 13 public hearings since we started this project, beginning in February with a joint council and planning commission study session. And we do appreciate all of the feedback we've received to date. And we've worked hard to incorporate these changes where feasible. And we believe we have a better plan as a result. Next slide. And staff has provided very detailed information on the proposed amendments to the North Camino Ramon specific plan. And really, other than changing the affordable housing program to align with the city's new inclusionary housing ordinance, and also including a reference to the proposed walking district, the proposed amendments are really limited to our project site. And these have been narrowly drafted to facilitate the project by redesignating the site as mixed density residential to allow for a range of density and housing types for an overall density of 18.5 units per acre. It's also establishing development standards specific to the project site, like street labeling, street sections. These are appropriate for the townhomes and small lot, single family homes. And also relocating the 2-acre park to a more accessible and visible location and providing linear open space along Camino Ramon. When the specific plan was adopted in 2012, the city projected approximately 350 units on this property, and maybe another 110 on the Toyota site would be developed someday. And there's been a lot of changes since then that couldn't have been anticipated when the plan was adopted. So it's really a balance to provide the right amount of housing, density, and open space. And this project will provide 404 homes, almost a third of the total number of residences planned for the specific plan area. The diversity of the product types provides opportunities for a wide range of buyers and complements the rental flats that are anticipated in City Walk. And it also provides much needed housing in the city core. Next slide, please. And although this hearing is really focused on the specific plan amendment, we wanted to take this time to share a brief history of the project and show some of the changes that we have made in response to comments. So this slide shows the entrance off of Executive Parkway, including monumentation and enhanced pavement and seating areas. And these changes, again, were in response to comments received previously. Next slide, please. Summerhill, this is also A Street, where we widened the parkway along the east side of A Street to 8 feet. And we introduced, again, decorative paving at all the entries and the intersections through the community. Next slide. And then Summerhill was also asked to look for more opportunities for open space near the townhomes. And we were able to add a 1/4 acre pocket park in this location, which is a nice amenity for the community. Next slide, please. And additional revisions were made at the entry to the project, the main entry off of Camino Ramon, with a widened street and decorative paving, monumentation creating a sense of place, multiple seating nodes and bulb outs to provide additional landscaping and interest along the street. Next slide. We also wanted to talk about how City Village fits in with the proposed walking district. And this slide shows the area of the future walking district. Bishop Ranch and City Village encompass a large portion of this area. And Summerhill's been working with the city on City Village for almost a year now. And we've participated in the stakeholder meetings for the walking district to really understand the vision. We've embraced this and we've worked hard to incorporate these into the walking district and put these goals into our plan so that City Village will be an integral part of the city's downtown core. Next slide, please. So this proposal meets all of the goals of the walking district, creating a comfortable place for people to walk and bike, identifying walking and biking loops, connectivity to nearby amenities, enhance wayfinding, and also provide a long-term vision for connectivity. Next slide. And so this exhibit shows the most recent information on the walking district, since this plan is still in progress. And we've added City Village and City Walk to illustrate how Summerhill has worked to implement this vision and provide continuity and unity in the entire plan area. So this shows City Walk on the right side of the screen, and it includes the proposed street grids envisioned in the master plan for City Walk. City Village has been added to the left side of the exhibit. And the plan has been thoughtfully designed to extend these streets and the walking patterns as contemplated in both the specific plan and the proposed walking district. And the new connections are shown in the dashed green lines on the City Village site. And you can see these are extending the same paths along Camino Ramon and also along A Street, so that they complete these north-south connections that were envisioned in City Village along the entire length of the property from Executive Parkway to Norris. And then to further reflect the vision, we've provided generous landscape buffers, included an 8-foot wide path along Camino Ramon and A Street. And we've also included gathering nodes and seating areas along the path to enhance the pedestrian experience consistent with the plan's goals. We've also designed B Street, which is about midpoint in City Village at the main entrance from Camino Ramon, to match this grid as was contemplated in the North Camino Ramon specific plan. And this allows for a future connection to the property to the west. Additionally, a park in this location invites the greater community and creates a sense of place with alternate paths to enhance and supplement the vision of the walking district. Wayfinding can also be easily incorporated into the plan once the walking district has been finalized. Next slide. So we do have a short video tonight to help experience the new walking paths with City Village. But before we start, we'd like to highlight a few of the stills, including areas of interest along the route that you'll see when you're watching the video. This image shows Camino Ramon, the walking path facing south with the gathering nodes and the entries to the paseos. Next slide. And this view is along A Street facing north, showing the 8-foot walkway and the park strip extending connectivity through A Street, excuse me, connecting the anticipated connections on A Street from City Walk to the south, all the way to Norris Canyon. And then just one note before we start the video, we wanted to let you know that while the video plays beautifully on most applications, the resolution is limited in this virtual setting. So the video isn't as sharp as we would like. And again, depending on each person's Wi-Fi connections, it may skip a little, but it's still going to provide a nice perspective of the experience of walking through the community. And that's why we'd like to include the video. Cindy, if you could start that, that would be great.
I'm going to get that up. I have another screen that I'll share. 1 second.
We appreciate all of Cindy's efforts to make this happen.
Should be able to see it.
Yes, we can. So we start the video with the boundaries of the proposed walking district, and you can see City Village in the center of the screen. And the green lines on this exhibit illustrate the pedestrian connectivity and how City Village aligns with the future connections planned for City Walk and the future walking district. So it's a little slow on my end. I'm not sure how everyone else video is coming through. But we're going to start at the entrance to the park at the corner of Camino Ramon and Executive Parkway. And note there will be a key map on the bottom right of the screen. And that will show you the path of travel through the site to orient you. And this is intended really to give a feel for walking through the park and along these paths and connections. The pickleball courts that were originally shown have been removed in response to comments, and we will continue to work with the city on the final programming for the park amenities. And as we walk through the park, we're headed towards Executive Parkway. And here we're going to head west to A Street and then turn the corner on A Street to head north on towards Norris Canyon. So this helps visualize the experience. You can see the entry monumentation and the seating areas as you experience your way through A Street. The additional gathering areas. And as we get to the intersection of A and B Street, those are the two main streets in the community. You can note the enhanced paving in that area. And we have that decorative paving at all the entries to the community. These are the courtyard homes on the left of the screen. And we'll continue along A Street and take a brief look at the Pocket Park. And this park includes seating areas, tot lots, barbecue and picnic benches. And that's a view of the townhomes, which will be on the right side of A Street. And the courtyard homes are on the left. And we're working our way north to Norris Canyon. At Norris, we're turning east, heading towards Camino Ramon. Again, we have the townhomes on the right side of the screen. So we're turning south now on Camino Ramon, and the townhomes will continue to be on the right side of the screen. We'll be passing the seating and gathering nodes as we work our way south towards the main entrance. And in addition to the areas in the park, we have 15 of these gathering nodes and seating areas along A Street and Camino Ramon. So we're nearing the main entry to City Village. Again, it will highlight the widened entry and the monumentation, the variation of street scene. And we're continuing south with the row homes on the right side of the screen. We're going to take a peek into one of these paseos that occur in 4 different locations along Camino Ramon. This provides additional connectivity throughout the site. So we continue south, completing our loop around City Village, bringing us back to the park. And this loop is roughly 3/4 of a mile, creating a nice route within the future walking district. And this concludes our presentation tonight, and we are also available to answer any questions. And thank you again.
Okay, thank you very much, Denise. Anyone else wishing to speak on this before we open it up to, still only have one attendee who wishes to speak? Okay, where'd my panelist group go? They snuck in on me. Sabina.
Yeah, I was just gonna say this was really cool. Thank you for taking us through a virtual tour of this. I think this is above and beyond what I was expecting to come into this meeting and see. So appreciate all the effort that you've really put in to help us visualize what it'll look like. So just,
Thank you.
I was wowed by the video.
Okay, thank you. This time, we're going to open it up to public members that wish to speak, give their comments. Please use the raise the hand feature on Zoom or dial *9 on your telephone when it's your turn to talk. We will call you by name if provided. Remarks are limited to 3 minutes and the clock will be running on Zoom screen. We have Jim Blickenstaff who wishes to speak. I keep trying to drag this out to see if there's a second one. You're the whole show tonight, Jim. You have the floor. If we can get him in here.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, great. I had a couple of comments on a broader scale than just this project, but I did want to mention that in terms of what it could have been, this is an okay project in a number of ways that I key on when I look at projects. First of all, it's got moderate heights for the buildings as compared to maximum heights that they can go to 6 or 7 stories, and then you get a whole nother problem with the densities and the traffic and other issues of visual effects. And then the other thing is the landscaping, which I've seen a little bit in City Walk, and I've seen here too, where it's almost like a little bit of green space influence when you do landscaping correctly. And I see the landscaping with a tree frontage as an attractive feature of this project. It didn't really necessarily have to be there. You can get more units in with less setbacks, and you can crowd it in and get away with lower standards. But so I wanted to start out by saying that this is okay. I mean, there's things here that I don't mind. Having said that, there are broader issues that are still somewhat problematic. And the first thing that comes to mind is, as you approve these addendums to the specific plan or EI or whatever, are you also constraining the council from making their discretionary decisions about this project? You may want to have different kind of setup of amenities. You may want to look at different mitigations in a different way. How much is this baking in, so to speak, entitlements if the project still has to be approved? I'd like to see the city have discretion on the number of things they can look at and still have that ability independent of some approvals tonight. And the thing that comes up with quality of life is it's often a trade-off with a project and quality of life of the residents. If the traffic's impacted or setbacks are too tight or parks are not sufficient, then a quality of life can suffer depending on what a project does. And on a broader scale, parks is becoming an issue for the city as we go forward. The last development that covered parks was a FRIA project. I think, no, it was something prior to that, and it was 12 acres for the 700 units they were going to put in there. And that was the last one that I've seen where parks were accommodated. And right now you're setting a standard that might be replicated in a number of other projects with just 2 acres for 12 to 1,400 people. So I'd say, let's have a broader picture of the parks issue beyond this project so we keep track of quality of life issues that can be accommodated as we go forward, and be careful about the ripple effect for something that's under mitigated at this stage, and then it becomes a precedent for other projects. So I'd just like to say that there's certain things that we need to take care of. Traffic's another one. Let's leave it open for the city to decide what to do finally in their final decision, rather than have it already preordained, so to speak, by Planning Commission and perhaps these amendments. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. You had to kind of hold down the fort for 2 or 3 people that didn't speak. Looking again, is there any hands up? Anybody wishing to speak? Seeing none. Are there any cards for public comment that were sent in or emailed?
We did not
have
receive
none.
any
Okay,
written
then
comment.
I will close the public portion of the hearing. We're not closing the public hearing. In fact, I'll go so far just to take care of some of our housekeeping here. I'll make the motion to continue the public hearing to October 26th. And if we get a second to that, we can discuss that motion. We have a second, Perkins, motion Hudson. Discussion, do you understand, or if we need any Martin's got his thing off. Martin, yes.
I just wanted to make sure that we were clear that we are not closing the public hearing.
Yes.
But you're continuing the item.
Yes.
Are you setting a date specific for adoption?
That will be on the next motion.
And, oh, okay. And then did you want to allow rebuttal on the part of the applicant?
I do. Actually, I was going to make it, but that's okay. Applicant, do you have something to add to Mr. Blickenstaff's comments? But yeah, okay. I was going to do this on council discussion first and see if they have any comments. Let's do that first. I'm stalling as I look to see any hands up. I don't see anybody. Okay, anybody rebuttal from Denise, Robert, Kevin, anybody have a comment on what you just heard? Because I didn't. my personal feeling is I really like what the total amenity
Denise
package
had raised
is
her
down there.
hand.
Huh? Oh, I'm sorry, Denise. You know, when your hand went up, they moved the box you were in. Go ahead.
Just seeing if you're paying attention.
No, not really.
No. I appreciate the comments and all the feedback and look forward to hearing council's comments. I did want to emphasize, because we didn't get into it on our main presentation, that in addition to the park, the 2-acre park, we have a great deal of open space and private open space throughout the community. We do have another exhibit, but I think it would probably be difficult for Cindy to pull up. It's slide number 17, if you can get it handy. But we do have over 40% when you combine the public and the private open space, including the small yards and the decks and the balconies. So we really, and the paseos, we've really taken into account the livability of the community and providing that balance.
Agreed. That darn
Jerry
Cindy,
has his
you
hand
should
up
have
too.
it.
She's so fast.
Yep.
So that's what this exhibit represents.
Yes, I see where you're going with it.
Yeah, and then if you could go to the next slide, Cindy. Again, this shows renderings of all 3 different product types with the small lots, with private yard space, generous decks and balconies on all of the projects, or all of the products.
I can
Thank
tell you
you.
don't like this project at all, Denise. It just sort of comes through that build a house here, build a house there. But go
Dave,
ahead.
Jerry has his hand up.
I'm looking there. Oh, okay. He doesn't have a yellow hand. He's got a real hand. Go ahead, Jerry.
Thank you, Mayor Hudson. I just wanted to address one comment that the public speaker, Mr. Blickenstaff, mentioned, and also I think Council Member Safar had asked about the traffic study. I did want to just mention that the results of the traffic study show less traffic than what was originally planned for this site. So the impacts are actually less than what was there. So that I just wanted to make sure that we knew that was the positive than these units are not adding additional traffic to the streets that were not planned.
Yeah. No, I think the general idea is that now if everybody that moves in there wants to commute to Silicon Valley, then I'll go down and take it out on Santa Clara, but that's going to be a different than the motion. We're talking about the motion now. If there's any questions about the motion, and then afterwards, after the roll call vote, I will open it up for discussion for council to chime in with a few points. And then I'll ask if we want to set the ordinance for adoption at the next meeting also, which would mean, correct me if I'm wrong, we get to it, Martin, that it will be ready should we decide to close and vote at the next meeting. Go ahead, Ms. Chamberlain.
I just want to clarify that the item before the council is just the amendment to the specific plan. The discretionary approvals, which are the vesting time of map, the development applications, and architecture review, are before the planning commission and will only come to the council on appeal or a call for review. So the discretion on this project at this point ends with this plan amendment that you're hearing tonight and seems to be continuing to next week. And so the commission's action on the entitlements is separate from what you are doing tonight.
Okay, thank you. That's clear. Sabina, did you raise your hand or did something just move in front of the screen?
That was my cat.
Oh, okay. Yeah, all right. What we're looking at now is just the motion to continue to October 26th. After the roll call vote, if there's no other hands up, I will put it up for discussion for last minute things that people are thinking of or comments that they want to make. Can I have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Armstrong,
Yes.
Councilmember Veros,
Yes.
Councilmember Safar,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Perkins,
Yes.
and Mayor Hudson.
Yes.
Thank you. That was a
Okay,
five.
so go ahead. Thank you. It's 5-0. Council for discussion. I would start by, is that the cat again? I can't, I
That's the
take a
cat.
look away.
She
All right.
wants an attention now. She's like, you can.
I actually thought staff did an outstanding job on your way you laid this out. I was trying to find something. The only thing I can come up with, and I'm afraid to bring it up because I think I'm wrong, was page 92 or 93. And it was talking about something similar to what we had at Costco, the 1 hour and 8 hour average of carbon monoxide. And I thought you were going with particulate matter. What I really liked about it was that it talks about it being not only during construction, but afterwards also. We didn't get that at that other appeal. It was just during construction, which didn't make a lot of sense to me. I really think that this is pretty clear. The simplest of things that is going to be the change in what I believe we're going to see in construction, and Summer Hill's put it in. When you look at some of the things that are going to be in the project, assuming it's approved and everything goes forward, I didn't see any fireplaces there, which doesn't bother me at all. For 25 years of doing this, planning commission, et cetera, I would have been asking for stone and everything else, but the world has changed and they don't want wood burning stoves. You may not have gas if things proceed in this state. And it's good to see that somebody's up on it, heat pump, stuff like that. I look at all the amenities that people are going to get as a huge plus. I understand where Mr. Blickenstaff's coming from, and it's good that he comes in here. It never hurts to have the public continually harp for more and more parks or programs. Doesn't mean you're going to get it because we don't have more money for it. We have to maintain it. But this area, if it's built and all the things that we've done, putting the 4,500 in this together, these people are going to have a lot to do. I mean, the walking distance, including the walking path, trail, whatever we're going to call it, and programming that goes on at community center and in the park. I mean, people forget about the program. Phil alone, when he was here, talked about the open space and how that should be considered as parks. But I think the location phrase comes in here, and if we pull this off, this to me is going to be a big plus. The downer is going to be, and kind of what we talked about before, is unfortunately, when I go to ABAG, they're not going to say, no, 4,900 is 5,111. And we're still going to have to do some things. But I think this is a big step in the right direction. Vice Mayor Perkins.
I want to thank the staff and the development team. I read through the staff report and all the 24 elements of the changes and all, and for the specific plan amendment and EIR amendment, and it answered my questions. I was hard pressed to come up with something that wasn't covered. So, and maybe it's my lack of imagination, but at this point, I think that the staff, in some ways, knows what I'm looking for, and so they make sure to include it. I've been around a little while, so I thank you and the development team, and I'm prepared to move on.
Okay, Sridhar Barose.
So I would like to thank our city staff and our planning commissioners for all their great work. The attention to the detail in this project with all those 24 items, it's very impressive. So each item, each text that you focus on, that shows how much heavy lifting these folks do it. So thanks for all your hard work. And also I would like to appreciate Summer Hill, our applicants, for their cooperation and collaboration in working with our city staff. You know, so you are taking it seriously. What are the feedback that you're getting? That's fantastic. That shows your commitment for our community. And also it helps us to make it easy for development in alignment with our general plan. So with the parks or with our walking district and all that. So and I do see that somewhere it mentioned that these are mostly especially these are built for people who work nearby, as well as to support retail, restaurants, and businesses. But believe me, or at least from the feedback that I received from community, there are a lot of folks, especially seniors, who want to move out of their big houses and move into this close to the downtown, where they can just walk for the coffee or get their lunch or dinner without taking their transportation and all that. So this is going to be for much more wider community housing that I'm looking for. So thanks for all your great work.
The Waikiki and Bishop Ranch. We have Councilmember Armstrong, then Zafar.
Well, likewise, I want to thank the staff, and I want to thank Summerhill and the whole development team there for the work that you put into this and making it clear what we're trying to do with this special plan amendment. I think in particular, what was helpful for me was that consistency matrix. And I guess I appreciate the fact that the Planning Commission, it appears from the staff report, that may have insisted on something like that to help. It really does help capture what the changes are that were, I think the applicant was recommending initially, and then how the staff and the commission accommodated those recommended changes. But that was really helpful to me to kind of go through that and see what it is that we're talking about, we're changing as part of this specific plan amendment. Without that, I think from the first meeting we had on this, first public hearing meeting, I really wasn't sure what we were going to change in the specific plan other than some broad language that we had at that time. So this was very helpful. And so well done to the whole team. And I think it's going in the right direction for what needs to be done, I think, to get this project moving towards resolution later down the road. So nothing further to add on that.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Zafar.
Just want to say the theme continues. I guess we do well with matrices and Excel sheets where you can lay out exactly, what is being changed. So yeah, exactly. That was very helpful. And I think we don't have a lot of questions because there were a lot of details provided. I also want to thank our commissions for doing all the hard work on behalf of the council, and really, for all of you, the staff, and Summerhill, for working with our commissions and really taking into account what we're building is going to be, like I said, kind of the next standard for what our downtown housing is going to look like. We're quickly moving towards this. We are obviously changing as a community. We've, in the past been very much, I would say, a suburban community, but we are changing, our demographics are changing, and people are looking for somewhat of a downtown housing. And for you to be able to incorporate 44% of green space, even within a downtown type housing, it's really commendable. So just wanted to say thank you for really working well with everybody, and Debbie and Cindy for doing a lot of hard work and really making sure, and Lauren, for making sure that this, you've gathered all the inputs, all the committees, everybody who's really put in their input, and gotten us something where I think we're all excited about seeing and bringing something like this to San Ramon. So appreciate it.
No, we're not as easy excited. You're going to have to build it. Then we'll get a little bit excited. I think we've kind of moved a lot of stuff in the right direction. I want to make sure that we're ready for October 26th. Things like what you heard from Mr. Blick and staff that were answered here. If they come up again, they'll be prepared. I would like to have the ordinance included when it comes back to us so that we can read it and people will see what's actually happening. I guess to do that, I have to make a motion to set the ordinance for adoption at the same next council meeting on October 26, 2021. And if I get a second, we'll discuss that also. Do I have a second? Second, Perkins. Discussion. You're going to have the full package is basically what we're looking at, unless there's something I'm missing here. Well, you gave Lauren a lot of credit. Did I miss anything, Lauren? If everything's there to approve on October 26th, we've done our part and everything's going. And if it isn't, you'll have it in front of you and you can vote down what it is and why you did it. I think that, go ahead. Somebody had a hand up. I heard an excuse me.
Through the mayor. So
yes.
as I mentioned previously, what's before the council is the plan amendments. So
Yes.
you will be having the discretionary entitlements. Those will follow after the council's action next week. So you have introduced the ordinance. It will come back to you on the 26th. We also have a resolution for your consideration because the plan amendment is adopted by resolution and ordinance.
Okay. My point is that if we are prepared, we are prepared. That's it. If we look at this thing, we said our part in this equation is complete, we can vote on it. That's what I did with this motion and the second. Is there anybody that doesn't understand that all we're really asking for is these things are here next, is it next Tuesday? No, on the 26th. Gosh. Wow, this stuff's good. This month is going quick. If there's no further discussion, I would ask that we take the roll call vote.
Councilmember Armstrong,
Yes.
Councilmember Veros,
Yes.
Councilmember Safar,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Perkins,
Yes.
Mayor Hudson.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion passes 5-0.
And that includes our show for this evening, folks. Unless anybody has any great words of wisdom, please don't say them. Go ahead, Scott.
I just hope that Sabina brings the cat when we have our first group meeting.
No,
Right.
no. I will tell you, it won't be a
He
live.
wants to
reading.
meet everybody.
Yeah.
What if there's a tap?
When
Yes,
did I lose
exactly.
control? We were out of here. The next words out of my mouth were adjourned. Thanks, everyone, for coming out tonight.
Thank
I
you.
know that we've kind of put things on not so much a fast track as a concentration track. If there are any questions, be ready. Sometimes when things just seem to have an unlimited amount of time, I'll continue it. I'll think of something. Oh, let's go. But no, I think that it took a while and there was a lot of extra work done in there. And I'm glad you've got the product you have. I think that the city's ready to embrace it. So with those last final words, if you have words, I'm not going to listen. We are adjourned. Have a good evening.